when we were in Atlanta last year, you remember Munzu's arguments about us working with La Republic? And when we said we can't do this and we want our territory back, he said, well, if you're ready to fight, then be ready for the war, because that's how you're going to get it. And then let me ask you this. How come our people are beginning to fight now? Because that's what he thought we could not do. And now that our people are beginning to fight, he still comes up with his thing, even though it's being manipulated as though it's Tumi doing it. You understand what I'm saying? I think you were just showing me a letter that Munzu also wrote to Paul Biya. So my question is, Munzu, who said, let's negotiate because we are too weak, that's what he inferred. Because we are too weak, and that if we want our independence, and that the world doesn't care about us. Remember him saying that? That the world doesn't care about us. There are too many things that the UN is dealing with, and so it doesn't, that we don't even exist. And so if we want our country back, then we should be ready to fight. Well, we've been fighting now for close to a year, but you still see Munzu surfacing up. Now this time with Tumi, what do you think about that?
Well, you have to look at, I think somebody said that, let me start with Tumi first, because he just recently surfaced on this issue. But did
you watch his interview with Ellie Smith?
Yeah, I watched it.
Okay.
I want to start. I don't want to start from there. I want to start from the interview. I think it was last year when he was on vacation. When he went on vacation to his Kakilaki K4, because that's where he comes from.
Okay, to the village.
Yes.
Okay.
And he says he normally takes 1 year, the time during the year, where he goes back and visits with his people. And he went there, and he himself described exactly what La Republique was doing to his people. And one village where he went there, the people had not done anything, and they had destroyed and burned down those places. I think one of the places he talked to was Tadu, where they went and burned the people's crops, the crops that they had harvested, that they could feed on for the rest of the year. They burned down their houses, burned down those crops. And he was wondering, if this is the army that is supposed to protect the people that is behaving like this. Those are his words. Those are not my words. So all of a sudden, I never saw him when he left from there, because he has said he has the President of the Republic's phone number. I am not sure he ever contacted him to complain about what his forces were doing in Tadu and all the other villages in South Fundum where he visited. If he did that, I would like to know what has been the response of the man in Itudi to his complaints. But I'm sure he didn't do it. So he turns around and comes and says that he needs to bring all the so-called Anglophones together. Because why? We are not speaking in one voice. We are not speaking in one voice.
No, he said we're not speaking in one voice, and that we don't know who wants what. You know, that's almost embarrassing. So when these people say that, you know, our story is not only justified by what's happening to us, right? It's justified by our legal standing. We were not supposed to become a colonized people. So when Tumi, you would expect somebody like that to begin there, to begin that. Look, Southern Cameroons and La République du Cameroun were two separate entities that were supposed to come together legally, and they were supposed to come together as equal partners. And somehow there's something that went wrong before. And so when he starts saying, "Oh, we don't know who wants what," I mean, you know, let me tell you something. When a lawyer goes to court, and this is where we are with this thing, when a lawyer goes to court to defend a client, he is a lawyer defending that client based on law. That client may not know the law. You know what I'm saying? Most of our people don't know why they're being treated like this. They don't know. They just grow up speaking English. There is a whole history. And so when you see somebody like Tumi or Munzu or all these apologists for La Republique, they need to be acting above that, because until, and you know that when people say let's go to the root cause, if that root cause is not dealt with, and that root cause lie in the UN process, in the process of the plebiscite, in the process of getting together La Republique until where we are today, there were a lot of violations, there were a lot of illegalities. That when we talk of going back to the root cause, those are the things that we're talking about. And so when Cardinal Tumi starts acting like he's a village town crier and saying, "Oh, we don't know who wants what," it is embarrassing to me, because I had a lot of respect for Tumi, and when he asked that question, I'm like, okay, if you just look at our people, let's even calm down now from the legal and the historical part. If you look at what happened on September 22nd and what happened on October 1, you know, there's also that referendum that SCNC made. So we've documented these things. Am I? Is there something wrong with me?
No, there's nothing wrong with you, and your synopsis is very correct to lay the ground that there is something wrong with Tumi. You know, when you age, sometimes things begin to get out of place.
To be honest with you, I started looking, and you know, at first I watched the interview you talked about when he was in the village. So I thought that was where he retired to. So in the interview with Ellis Smith, I looked at it and I realized that he was sitting in Douala.
That's where he is.
And I'm thinking, okay, you can see how the man is beginning to double talk.
No, but see, let us just look at the world and see where what he is trying to ask us to do has ever been done before. Okay? When people, because he is saying that we don't speak with one voice. We are not a monolithic people. People have a right, he has a right to think whatever he wants and believe whatever he wants with the other guy, Munzu. Yes. Even when you come from the same womb, you might not all agree.
No.
But the overall majority of Ambazonians or Southern Cameroonians have said they don't want this relationship with these people. So how are you going to then bring them? When we met in 1992, 1993, 1994 in ASC, did we speak with one voice?
No.
We didn't. But at least at the end of that conference, we had some resolutions that were all agreed on.
Yes, and they were very progressive.
Yes, they were accommodating and everything. Was that ever considered? That was when we came together and spoke. How many years is it today? How many years?
Pa, I'm sorry that, you know, as you talk, I'm getting distracted. Let me tell you what I'm being distracted about. Because I'm thinking of Tumi and I'm thinking of Munzu, and I'm getting a little irritated. As I'm getting irritated, there's a response that was given by Cho to Munzu, and Munzu was crying around with it because I think Cho had written that we have guns now. You know what I'm saying? You read that response?
Yeah.
And Munzu is making a big deal of it. Yes, when you start ignoring how our people are being butchered and our people are beginning to really, if we cannot hear reason, if reason doesn't make sense, if history doesn't make sense, if Munzu's appointment, you know, before Munzu went to work for the UN, La Republique must have helped him.
Well, let's not even bother about that.
Apparently, look at when things are so obvious, and then you see people acting like they have blinds in their eyes and their ears are plugged. You start wondering why they do that.
No, let's work with our people, because this thing, even Justice Aya Paul came and was surprised that why are people against coming together to talk? And we are here to tell the people why it is not worth our time to go and sit down and talk.
Let me ask you this: would you go to a meeting that Munzu called to talk about our relationship with La Republique?
No, I will not go, but I'm going to get there.
Why? Why won't you go?
I will tell you why.
No, but why won't you go though?
I am going to explain to you.
Okay.
But let's finish with Cardinal Tumi first.
Okay.
I'm going to explain to you. We are not with Munzu yet. So what I'm saying is that...
Well, I find it really hard to separate Tumi from Munzu because anybody that puts Munzu in front already told me that he knows Munzu's position and backs it up. That's why he's putting Munzu in front.
No, hold on now. They said that this meeting was called by the cardinal, right? That's what they said. But we have documented evidence that this thing is all orchestrated by Munzu. And we're going to get there. So
no, but there's also information. I don't know if there's just a rumor that they have held a meeting, some ministerial meeting where they decided on this. So this is not just coming from Tumi.
I know we are going to get there. Just hold your horse. Don't let it go yet.
Okay.
Because our people are confused. And they have a right to be so. Because imagine that somebody like Cardinal Tumi, who people have revered for all these years, and all of a sudden he stands up and talks and people wants to listen. And then what he is saying is kind of baffling. It contradicts what he had just said a couple of months ago.
Yes.
And then people get confused at what is happening.
Yes.
And when we sit here, our responsibility is to try to put context in some of those things
and clarify,
so our people can understand.
Yes.
So we have to at times put those emotions aside.
Yes.
So I want us to look at the Tumi that went on vacation to his village and what his experience was, because he has not been back yet. He has been in Douala all this time.
Yes.
And the Tumi now that is speaking from Douala, you have to put those two side by side to be able to see the difference. That is what I was trying that we should see.
Okay.
Okay. Now talking about Munzu. Yes, Munzu said the only way we can get this is that we have to fight. But he came out with a piece at one time asking Philomen Yang, how can you ask us to sit down and talk to ourselves and negotiate with ourselves?
I remember that piece. I remember that, and I love that piece because he was saying that whenever they say let's dialogue, and La Republique send Philemon Yang, this Mosonges and all these people back to our people, it's us talking between us.
Yeah, so that is why I said let us take these people, because they forget that we live in an age where these things are available and we can tell the people what they said when. So he asked that question, and somehow he also forgot that he is the one that read those pronouncements of that 1993-1994 All Anglophone Conference. And he himself has said in so many interviews on Carte sur Table, the most recent one, where he said they have never received a response from a single man in Eturi.
Till
today. Then you want us again to do what Philomen Yang had been doing that you had criticized, to go and sit and talk with ourselves. And that is not only where the problem is. I'm going to read to you what he wrote in his response to the president. What he wrote and what he proposed. Because you are right when you say that these things, they had meetings and discussed these things under his recommendations. Number 2, under his recommendation, I'm going to read it. He said the head of state and government should endorse and support the plan of moderate Anglophones at home to organize a general conference of all Anglophones which will draw up a list of issues to be examined in a dialogue with the government on the Anglophone problem, and select representatives of the people from the Northwest and Southwest at that dialogue. This general conference will be open to all Anglophones, including the separatists. Consequently, conditions should be created for persons currently in prison or on exile and for the internally displaced and refugees to attend and participate in a general conference. Separation and independence will be shown at this conference to be the demand of a vocal minority compared to Anglophones who want to maintain unity of Cameroon while securing autonomous rule for the two Anglophone regions.
So it's a whole concocted plan, and that's the plan there.
That is it. So you are not coming to discuss anything. You are not coming to dialogue anything with yourselves. The plan has been set. It has been agreed.
Yes.
What they are going to do, you are just coming to do what they call a fait accompli.
Yes.
Okay.
You will come there, they will listen to who they will bring in and who they'll kick out.
Good.
If you do not comply to this,
yes,
you'll be out. It doesn't matter how much what sense you're making, and
if you are a separatist, your position will be shown as a minority, a vocal minority. That's
no, even if it's a majority, they still show it as a
that is what it has been stated. That is the goal. Listen, let me go to the next point.
I wanted to just enter an example that is like that bilingualism commission.
Yeah.
They went to Bamenda and they said totally did something else.
And they said they wanted that he just comes from Senegal.
And they went and wrote something else and sent it as a report. Yeah. And guess what? When they go to these international organizations, that's what they will say, oh, that's what the people said.
Good.
And then the international organizations say, go and let Paul Biya settle it.
Good.
Cho is right that we have our guns.
Number 3 on his recommendation, the head of state and government should endorse and encourage the effort of the moderate Anglophones ahead of the Anglophone General Conference to conduct a public information campaign on radio, television, in newspapers, and on social media aimed at demonstrating that the separatist agenda is an illusion that should not be adhered to by the population of the Southwest and Northwest regions.
Amazing.
Did you hear that?
Amazing.
This would enable the separatists to be isolated at home and abroad and thus reduce the influence that they enjoy now among a poorly informed and misled population.
You know, let me say this, okay?
Let me finish.
Yes.
These are the recommendations that the guy,
Munzu,
he thinks that he is a tortoise, that he's very smart. And he can just wiggle his way and confuse you people and bring you people and put another rope around your neck. But we are saying that thanks to this generation now, this information cannot be buried. We are going to dig it and we are going to bring it to you, and so you should understand why people are saying that this nonsense is not going to happen. Because it has been predetermined who is going to be there, what is going to be discussed, and what is going to be agreed upon. They are asked for the airways to go out there and mislead people. So they claim that you people don't know anything. All this fight that you have been fighting, you have been misled.
Yeah, I was going to say that is such a condescending report. That all these people are stupid. What they've been listening to, they're just sheep following. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But what I was going to ask, Pa, is that do you know what Judas Iscariot means?
The one who betrayed Christ.
Because Munzu is giving the plan to La Republique to sell out his own people.
Yes.
So he has no plight of the way Ambazonians are treated in La Republique du Cameroon. He has no problem with that.
No, he hasn't. And
so upon all the complaints and the crying and the do you know if you call Bamenda, people answer you, all the phone systems answer in French, and I'm not saying that this is a big one. I'm just saying how they have eaten into our lives. Does Munzu like that?
See, his problem is not to solve the problem that we have, because he says it that the reason why they have to end this crisis now is because it has a negative impact on the country. It's a threat to the country, and it threatens the elections that are coming up. Those are his reasons that he gives why this crisis has to be solved.
Yes.
So he does not consider the fact that all what we have experienced with these people for these 57 years is something for people to want to stand up for. It is the threat to the country that he loves. It is the threat that it poses to the country, the election, and the negative impact that the international community is getting on the country. So, my people, this is the truth.
I'm baffled.
These people These are the clientele politicians that we have been talking about. Munzu, and unfortunately Cardinal Tumi.
Why do you say unfortunate?
No, well, you know.
Oh, you think Tumi is not aware of all of that?
No, well, when I say it's unfortunate that he is part of the gang.
Oh, and unfortunate for us that we've lost him.
Yes,
because Tumi knows what
he
knows what's
has
going
written
on
about it.
Yes, he knows what's going on.
It is unfortunate that he is part of the Isingan gang. It is unfortunate to me.
Yes,
and I will tell you, my people, I have told you time and time again here. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
Yep.
If these people succeed to fool us again,
then we should really go and tip our hat and lie down and apologize.
Yes. This is no joke. I have told you. Civism shot, and his mother was holding his head blown out of his head.
So Munzu has been playing lawyer and advisor to La Republic on how to get his own people back into the jailhouse.
Yes, it is here.
No, it's there.
He wrote it.
Yes.
I am not saying anything. These are his words. And
yes.
He has laid the plan. They have cooked up the plan. How it's going to happen, who is going to sit down there, and everything. It has been laid out. And then those who march on the 22nd of September, those who came out on the 1st of October, and all those who have been killed, they will be presented as a vocal minority on the airwaves, by Lying CRTV and all those places.
No, they will be presented. Not that they are.
Yeah, that is what he said.
They will be presented as a vocal minority. He just wants to document it because he understands the UN process so well. You know what I'm saying? But let me tell you something else about the UN. And this is information that was given by a reliable person. You know, Munzu was like, I think you've already said that Munzu was part of the NCNC team that came to the United Nations, mm-hmm. and he was the spokesperson at the time. Mm-hmm. Then he went back home, and suddenly he went into the UN, mm-hmm. and became somebody's assistant secretary actually when he was when he was working in Ivory Coast. Mm-hmm. And I have been reliably informed that when he went there, you know, Justice Nyawakai was also sent there. And I think what La Republic was trying to do was take these people who have been serving our people, quote serving, because apparently Munzu was not really serving our people because he fell hook and sinker. When La Republic gave that bribe, he took it and Munzu advised Nyawakai to cool down his SDF politics, and La Republic would treat him well. Obviously, Wakai refused that, and I think the 3 months that he was sent there was a trial balloon. Wakai did not accept that and came home, and Munzu has been serving La Republic till today. You understand?
Yeah.
So you can see how the rewards are coming, and he's playing politics of the stomach. Munzu doesn't need to speak on our behalf. If you like La Republic very much, please stay there and enjoy whatever they give you. You don't have to take our people and sink them in there in order to do what? To enjoy what? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. The other question that I asked, that where has this been the approach in anywhere in the world?
He's dealing with a fascist system.
No, this is what I'm asking. So the ANC had a problem with the way the minority rule was being carried out in South Africa, right?
Yes.
So did you see the ANC go and sit within themselves and then decide how, I don't know, to talk about where has that been done? When you people say you are not contented with what is currently happening in any country, in Canada, when Quebec says they don't want to be part of Canada anymore, they have all these stupid grievances against Canada. When was it Scotland or whatever country in Europe said they didn't want it to be part of the United Kingdom?
Yeah, Scotland.
Yes. Did they just say, did they ask them? There were people in their country who disagreed. Did they ask them to go and sit down amongst themselves and then figure out how they can talk with one mouth whether they want to stay in the United Kingdom or not?
No, don't.
Why has that ever happened? That the people will be forced to sit down by themselves and talk to themselves about their problems and then get a solution to that problem?
No, it's a manipulation part. I mean, he was very clear that let's manipulate them like this and present this, and then make the others look minority, and then we would accomplish this by obviously, let me say something. You think if you think they only do this and it's only Munzu doing it, do you know that France is already inviting Paul Biya to conferences in France in November?
Well, that because he is president of the Republic.
No, there's an election coming up, so they know that he will win.
Yeah, but this is what I'm saying.
So I'm saying that they already they manipulate this thing, so they know the outcome before they even call the meeting.
Yeah, but they have always said that they decide who rules in their French Africa. What I'm trying to say.
What I'm trying to say is that it's the same formula that Munzu is concocting. That will go and do the same thing with them. We'll decide which side will win and which side is a minority, and then we'll present this. France has already prevented any other country, any other organization in the world that is supposed to be involved in an issue, not to be involved. You remember the guy who left the French embassy and went to the front of Mancon and was to sell that plan of joining the two Amazonian territories into La République. Remember a few months ago, that's before we even started talking about it, the guy is a Frenchman, and he was very categorical that no, the issue of La République, this issue of Amazonia will be decided in La République. He made it very categorical. So all of what is going on now is, and our challenge as Ambazonian is to make sure that we let the French and the UN and everybody else to know that we were created by God, we were not created by them, and that they will kill all of us in that land before they take our land.
Yes.
And I can tell you that all these manipulations will fail. Do you know that, I don't know if you've heard that too, that the reason why they go on, I think you and I have already discussed that what they're doing with the military and what Munzu is planning and it's all on the same plan. That go and manipulate this, kill civilians and something will happen somewhere else. Go and manipulate this thing and something will happen somewhere. They're all manipulating the world system, and the world is buying it. And when they buy it, they say a population here that's being murdered against all norms of human life. They manipulate, and then the world is sitting there and say, we can't do anything. We can't do anything. Well, you know what? Let our people keep taking the pictures and letting the world know this is what you're letting go. You know what I'm saying? But let's fight, because we have been able to stop them. Remember, they thought they can come and do. I've heard plans that La République military thought that they will come and solve the problem. Was it 4 months? You've heard that, right?
Yeah.
It didn't happen in 4 months. They went and promised Paul Biya it would be 8 months. It didn't work. And right now, they don't know what to do. And that all this killing of civilians is out of frustration. So that is how they conduct themselves.
Yeah, all these questions that I'm asking here are rhetorical questions. And they are meant to keep our people thinking. Because if somebody is going to come and talk to you, you have to listen and then begin to ask yourself very, very pertinent, critical questions. Why is this man doing this? Why now? Because when you ask those questions, and wherever there is doubt, you dig deeper, then you will come to understand what their motives are. Munzu and Cardinal Tumi are endorsing what we are fighting to get away from. They have endorsed it. They have laid out a plan how they are going to execute it. And they are just waiting for you to walk into that room, and they will put the rope over your neck.
That's it. You just need to enter that room, and then they'll go and write a report that the people who came there, this is what they said, and this is what they said, and this is what they said. You don't even have to be honest with you. They just want to stage that event. Okay? You just want to stage that event, and then they'll go and write a report on it, just like Musonge was doing in Bamenda.
Yes. So if you doubt it, if you doubt what we are saying, just look at that Musonge thing. Then you will understand exactly. But this one is an advanced one. Because all the blood that we have shed, all the villages that have been burned down, Mami Api, all these people that have been burned down in their houses, you would be telling them that they died in vain.
Rogers.
I sitting here speaking to you, I know that those people did not die in vain. Their sacrifices will not go in vain. And that is why I support what Joe Ayaba said.
And you know another thing, what they're manipulating now is what the French have told them. Because the French is under pressure from the international community as this thing goes on and we continue to show the abuses, the French are beginning to do way harder work in their diplomacy than they can. And I think they've advised these people to come and do this thing. So Cardinal Tumi and Munzu are emissaries of the enemy. They're emissaries of the enemy. If you do not believe it, I think Roger just read to you what the blueprint is. Okay? You just need to show up on that. They just need to say a meeting took place here this day, and they will write the event. And they will write the report of that meeting. You don't even need to go in there and say anything. In fact, you may go there and they'll pass out 5,000 like a Kemados. Okay? And you go home, and then they'll go and write the report. So please don't go anywhere. A Human Rights Watch report that just came out. It took a long time for Human Rights Watch to come to report on the situation in Ambazonia. I think Amnesty reported a few times, but Human Rights Watch never visited Ambazonia. And then this time they came out with a report. I found parts of that report good.
What initially started as civil protests, largely peaceful, by lawyers, teachers, students in this multicultural country. The protests were about the perception of marginalization and discrimination by the authorities in Yaoundé. Unfortunately, these protests and demonstrations, which are protected rights under international law, they were met by very heavy-handed response by the Cameroonian authorities. This fueled the anger of local people in Cameroon's northwest and southwest regions. And soon, there began an agitation for the region's independence.
But some parts were questionable, but what I found the most, or what I discovered after listening to them, was that it really wasn't very useful. Because I think in the final analysis, they went and spoke to the government, and then they were telling the government to dialogue.
Things. We were able to go to Yaoundé. We met with 8 senior government officials, including one of the top advisors at the presidency. We had very long meetings with them in which we were exchanging very frankly about how we saw the situation, about the findings that we gathered. And the government pledged to conduct a number of investigations. We have received in this report a written response from the government of Cameroon in which it details 3 of such cases. But in general, the response of the government has been to tell us, well, you have some rotten apples here and there. Soldiers are traumatized or deployed away from their families. They get attacked by these people moving in the forest, in the villages. So sometimes you may have 1 or 2 people doing something they shouldn't be doing.
It sort of occurred to me that, Human Rights Watch, they actually have no power to resolve anything, which is why they ended up talking about dialogue. I don't know what your take was on that report.
Wilbur did a report after the October 1st slaughter of our people. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And he was able to go around and document. Did you see any of that kind of documentation from what Amnesty did?
No, but I didn't see that. But what I was going to say is that if the reports are not coming from a Western government or from a Western institution, they're not important.
No, they are important to us.
That's what I'm trying to drive to. That at some point we really need to even just forget about them.
So what they are doing is to meet to satisfy their donors because now our issue is on the front pages of the New York Times, the Washington Post, and all those organizations, and their donors are actually asking them, look at all these people shooting women with children on the back, what are you people doing? Then they get somebody on the plane to dash in and dash out and pull a couple of videos from here and there and then put out a report. That is not doing you and I any favor. And you remember after our show of the show after October 1st, we did indicate to people how to document these instances of abuse and torture and killing. And I think that is something that we have to revisit, because we are going to be the ones to provide that information when the time comes.
Well, for your information, there are people who are documenting, but and I say that because I know there are people who are archiving all this information. But you said something which is very important, that Human Rights Watch went down there to satisfy their donors. And it seems to me, and sometimes when I watch the shows, these things are happening to our own people, our families. And so when you watch and you see how some organizations handle it, they make a comment and brush it and move them on.
Yes.
I was watching a piece where this guy at the UN was asking the Nigerian ambassador he asked him about two questions. One was about, I can't remember the first one, but the second one was about the Naira arrest. And he wrote it off and said, the other people to talk about it, I don't know what is going on there, and just left. But to you and me, this thing is traumatizing. But and so everybody else is just handling the things like, oops, I'm sorry I can't say anything. Oops, okay, we'll go do something and come back and make and have this table and talk. But the African lady who sat on that Human Rights Watch, I think she did a good job.
There is grievance. People are aggrieved. It started very mildly, as you would find, when you read the report about the historical factors that led to this. There were peaceful protests at the beginning, and that could have led to some concrete resolutions on both sides. If I think that the government going in to shoot into the crowds, to arrest people, to kill protesters, to shut down the internet, it was introducing violence into what could have been a dialogue, and that's why we're here today, and we can't stop it.
Yeah, she did a good job, but what I'm saying is that it is not good enough for the reputation of the organization, that who they say that they are, and the level of human rights violations, arbitrary arrests, torture, and summary executions that are going on in our territory. To me, what they have done is insignificant. Yes,
and like I already said, the insignificant even became more profound, because I heard a lot of people calling on Human Rights Watch to go down there. You know what I'm saying? When they came back and they sat and they made the report, and then they showed how spineless they are. It's like, we documented this, we went and talked to the government, and so dialogue. It's like, okay.
We've talked about dialogue before, and the kind of dialogue they are talking about. And it is interesting that when they go down there, when we started complaining, if you really want to be fair, they might complain they don't have resources and stuff like that, which we can understand. But you are not going to camp. If you have to camp, you have to go and start from the beginning. Because I get so angry when they turn around and say, government is doing this and the separatists are doing this.
Yeah, violence on both sides.
Violence on both sides. They fail to recognize the fact that whatever our people are doing now is because we have been complaining for 2 years. We have been talking and sharing information and emailing Human Rights Watch and sending them all these graphic videos and executions of our people, and they said nothing. We went to United Nations on the 22nd of September and complained. They said nothing. Inner City Press has been pressing the UN, and they have said nothing. The Commonwealth goes down there, get their trophies, The United Nations Secretary General goes down and gets his trophy, and they don't say nothing. So our people, we are not going to just sit down and get slaughtered every single day. And so the people decided that it is enough. Nobody is going to care whether I die or live. So if I'm going to die, I'm going to die in an honorable way. And that is where we are. So for anybody to go down there and start trying to assert blame on both sides, you have to look at the history. And if you don't recognize that history, if you don't recognize all the efforts that we have done to put these things in front of you and all the people that we have lost before the people picked up arms, I don't want to hear anything that you are saying.
And you know, they do it so dispassionately. You know, I was listening to the guy, he said, oh, the separatists are burning schools and arresting and beheading. And I'm thinking, you know, we saw you remember what happened at Sacred Heart College? Mm-hmm. Troops were around the place. And the place got burned.
The other school in Bafut.
Yes. So they said it's not, you know, it's almost like you need to have somebody who understands the story to tell you the story. Because they're telling the story out of context and they're not citing the correct facts.
Yes.
And so you end up being frustrated instead of being happy that Human Rights Watch went down there.
No, because, like I said, they want to satisfy their donor base. They are not interested in putting out the real facts. That is all what they are doing. You cannot have people guarding schools and then those schools get burnt. And if you really want to, the Human Rights Watch and all these international organizations expect that people should sit in their homes like in Batibo, and the military walks into their homes in Batibo and kills everybody. A woman that carried a child on her back and going to the market, they kill her and the child. And the people should not go after that military that is killing their parents and their sisters and their children because of Human Rights Watch.
No, they will go. They'll go. I think the good thing that is happening is that, or what we are beginning to learn is that we have to depend on ourselves.
No, we have said that all along.
Yes.
I personally have said that all along. That these people are frauds. The United Nations is a fraud. It is a scam. And there is nobody that is going to come to defend you and I.
Yes.
And we are going to defend ourselves.
Yes.
We are going to defend ourselves against this terrorism, this oppression, and these extrajudicial killings of our people. That is what we are doing. We have not, and I have repeated that on so many of these shows, we have not crossed an inch of matters to ask La République for anything.
That is, we haven't crossed to enemy territory. We have been defending our territory.
Yes. If they don't come into our homes and harass our people and kill our women and kill our young boys and kill our children, nobody is going to be bothered with them. But when you come into my house and take my brother or my father and shoot him in front of his children, like it happened in Bali, like it happened in Batibo, like it happened in Ekona, where that young man was shot in his own living room in front of his children. What do you want me to do?
But do you understand, do you understand why, and the Republic military has not denied that they don't do that, because their agents come out and say that they're doing that in order to turn the population against the Amber Boys. You've heard that, right?
I've heard that.
Is that, I mean, how do you turn me against you by killing you, my brother? You know what I'm saying? If you are my brother and they come and kill you because somebody is fighting them, why do they think that I'll go blame the person fighting them for reasons that I agree with them? You know what I'm saying? What it does, it only confirms why the fighters are fighting, and what that does to me is that it makes me join them. It doesn't make me blame them for killing my brother. You get my point?
Yeah, but you see, it is some kind of tortured reasoning. You see, that is the kind of education that people have when your curriculum is designed in France.
Yes, absolutely.
See, that is what you get. You get people who think backwards. Who thinks that if they walk into your house and kill your father, all of a sudden you are going to stand up and begin to clap that, oh, that Republican Army is a very good army, and then you begin to support them? I don't know. I don't know who draws strategy for them. I don't know who advises them, but that is what they are doing. And Human Rights Watch will come in and say there is violence on both sides. You have to ask yourself, because I am sitting here and you are punching me in the face and punching me in the face, and I shouldn't respond because I'm afraid that you are going to call out violence on both sides. Nonsense.
Yes, it is absolutely nonsense. And part of the nonsense that I also realized, and I think this question also came from Inner City Press, where they asked one of the UN people, and he said, "Oh, we cannot go in until Paul Biya allows us to go in." Is that so the fox has to decide that, yeah, you can come into the kitchen, into the hen coop where they are there killing before they can come and say, okay, this should stop.
Did Saddam Hussein allow them to come into Iraq?
Nope.
Did Gaddafi allow them to come into Libya?
Nope.
Because this is not convenient for them.
And I'm glad you touched on the Gaddafi thing. You know, Gaddafi, they went and killed Gaddafi, right? Mm-hmm. Because they said they did not want to see Gaddafi slaughter his own people, right?
Yes.
For how long has La Republique been slaughtering? And when they did that, Gaddafi hasn't killed anybody.
Nobody. They
were still in Benghazi threatening to come.
Mm-hmm.
And Gaddafi was saying, you know, if you come, we'll fight you.
Mm-hmm.
Paul Biya has been murdering our citizens now for how long?
Well, since 1961. And he just increased or exacerbated it the past 2 years when he declared war on us. So you can see why we say that we are on our own. And it is important, very, very important, that we understand this.
Yes.
That we are on our own. And whatever we do, whether you disagree with somebody on the field or not, you should always remember that the little that we have is all we have, and we have to use it judiciously so that it can get the maximum effect. We are on our own, and every resource that we have to put to use. There is nobody who is coming from anywhere. So we are going to fight this fight. As Riba said, they don't know my people. When my people will rise, and you have risen, and we shall not stop. We shall not stop till we reach the foot of Mount Fako. Nobody who is not with you today should come and tell you what you should do with all the people that they have killed. Dialogue with who? If they want to dialogue, are they going to go bring civism back? Are they going to go to all these places? From Ashon to Bafut, and go down to Wum, and go to Bello.
Go to Ngi.
Go to Ngi.
Go to
Manu.
Yes.
Go to Akwaya.
Yes.
And bring back all these people that they have killed. Then we can dialogue. And until then, the only thing that you have is what our forefathers gave us and what you have borrowed from them to defend yourself now. And you are going to use it.
I just want to add that, you know, there's a new element coming in where Atanganji is training, is coming and training some of our kids to turn around and start fighting the Amber Boys and going around and stealing in the name of Amber Boys, robbing people. I just want to let those kids know that they are using you, and tomorrow they will not treat you any better. In fact, they may use you, and tomorrow, because they've used you that way, they will kill you, so that you don't go and reveal that they did use you that way. So just be very careful when you're carrying French water, because they are enemies of all of us. They're just using you to fight your brother, finish all of us, and then own the land, and you are not going to benefit from it. Another thing that they begin to do, Rogers, is that this northwest southwest thing, they've been spinning that again. And you know, and I want to say this, and then you can add to it. It is divide and rule has been the French fascist way of doing things. They pitch people against another. In Rwanda, it was the Hutus against the Tutsis. Everywhere where they are, they try to pitch people against the other in order to divide them, and in the fight, which is what I'm just talking about, the Atanganji terrorists that they're training. You know what I'm saying? So they begin. So I just want to, that this northwest southwest thing is just a flame that because they don't love the people of the southwest, they don't love the people of the northwest, but they want to pitch one, and there are people who bite at that, and it's wrong. I don't know if you had anything to add to that.
No, I mean, I don't know how many fish bite that kind of that policy has failed. And if you ask somebody like Enoni Ephraim, if you ask Chief Mukete, if you ask Musonge, all of them know that policy has failed, because the people have been able to see through all those games. It is what we have said, that it is the last straw, the last kicks of a dying horse. So they are going to grab at anything and try to throw everything at you and hope that something is going to stick. This fight that we are fighting today is not about the Northwest, it is not about the Southwest. It is about we as a people. And somebody like Njome Franklin, who is hungry, uneducated, lazy, stupid, will go out there and make a video and say all of these problems are caused by the Ngrafi people, or the Kwanogo as they want to call us. It is not the Ngrafi people that privatize CDC. It is not the Ngrafi people that brought all the Francophones and enrolled them in the medical school in the University of Boya. It is not the Ngrafi people that disseminated your education and destroyed everything that you knew. Destroyed power camp, destroyed the various cooperatives that we had, did not build roads. Look at, you can't go to Manu. The roads are not there. You can't go to anywhere. So these people who are coming, the Ngole Elvises and all these other kinky heads who are coming and telling you this story, those are those people who play what we have described on this show as clientele politics.
Let me add some. It's not the Ngrafi people who are draining the petroleum in Indian and not paying taxes in Victoria, but paying in Yaoundé. It is not Ngrafi people who are cutting all the timber in Manfe. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you can go down the line. So here are people come and take the substance of the whole thing and put you against each other, and then you go around running your stupid mouth, just like you've described, stupid, uneducated, and gullible, and you think that you're making sense. It's really sad.
Yeah, and we have to understand that this divide and rule does not end at that level. It goes from there. You can go to the national level. I mean, you were talking before the show about when Emma Bazi was the mayor of Yaoundé, he would pitch the Ewondo people against the successful Bamileke people in Yaoundé.
Yes.
They burn down their businesses in the east. Some of them burn their businesses in Yaoundé, in the boulevard, and all those kind of places. So it happens all the time. That is what those in power who don't want to give up power, that is what they do.
Yes.
They look for stupid people like Njome Franklin and give them a little bit.
And Atanganji.
Atanganji Paul. And Paul Gogomo.
Yes. Even Musonge. All those people.
All of them. Now
yes.
They are the same.
Including, what's your Prime Minister's name? All of these people, they lie them. And you have a good name for it, the clientele politics. They lie them, exploit their people, and after that they throw them, and then they go back to their village and don't have a road to drive their car to. They build houses in places where they don't have a road even going there.
He's not my Prime Minister. He's not my Prime Minister.
No, I understand.
The
last
last Prime Minister I had was Bobejua.
Yes, I agree with you.
That's the last Prime Minister.
Yeah, he is your Prime Minister. Is that better?
No, he's not. I don't come from that part of the world.
You know?
This is what they do. And the only reason they divide you is because they want to stay in power.
In fact, they call him Prime Minister, Pa. When a Francophone was a Prime Minister, it was a real Premier. When Paul Biya was a Prime Minister, he had power. Just tell Philemon Yang to go compare his Prime Ministership with that of Paul Biya and see the difference. I mean, they create a little shell and put these people there, and they get stuck there, and they think that they're Prime Minister. But they know they're selling their people. It's anyways. So as they do this, as the Njumes go around running their mouth, and the Philemon Yangs and their Tanganjis, including the funds. I hear that the funds met this week and they passed a resolution of something with Paul for us to stay with them. As they're doing this, they're raping our children. High noon, you saw the rape. You saw that little girl who was screaming on the street in Bambui last week.
Yeah, well, before we go to that rape incident, you were talking about the funds and Atanganji Paul.
Yes.
You know, we are glad that Atanganji Paul came and the funds received him, and he gave them some money because they think that money can buy everything. But we are happy that he brought that money, because that money will also enable us to put up the resistance against occupier.
From the funds?
From the funds.
You think the funds are going to give the money to anybody?
When you come and give your money and you go out there and bring CRTV, yes, Atanganji Paul is going to be hailed as a hero when he gets to a Singang house in Yaoundé. But we know what happens when he leaves. So we are not stupid. So do whatever you have to do at Atanganji Paul, and we will do what we have to do.
My clothes. I don't say I didn't even beg the mother. Say this have been mommy picking. I didn't begin Bobby. It's a man who try her life. Yes, I did. Papa, I beg you need. I beg the man today. The man never done. Taking me. Jing me my it's jing me back up to my stand. Before move my clothes nicely me for day.
So move your blood review.
So it happened now. So for petrol station for veterinary junction here. The Africa Petroleum.
Yes, now the Africa Petroleum.
Okay.
This little girl, 17 years old, was going about her business when this guy, they said they were doing a control, and she told you that she is 17 years old, not at age at which she's supposed to have a national identification paper.
But do you know that these national identification papers are like dog tags?
Yeah.
Do you have a national identification paper in the United States?
No, you don't.
Free countries don't have national. You know, our people now. You know, our people have become. They have been marked for all kinds of things, and they think that it's normal that you are born a free person, and then somebody can kiss a paper and say you must carry this paper so that when I see you, I can identify you, or for what reason. And then if you don't have it, then it's something where you have to bribe. You are not born to be carrying dog tags around with you. You're not a dog. So this national identification paper is all fascist impositions.
Yeah, it is, and it is written into law. But let us assume that we are some people that respect the law. There is a certain age within which you are supposed to then have access to those documents. It's not everybody who is born with supposed to then automatically have to have that document. And until you get to that age, you are not supposed to carry that document. And if the person tells you that I don't have that document, what you have to do is to give them a summons to show up to court. That is how it works in a legal, in a civilized world.
No, but that was not the intention. If you notice, they kind of checked out that girl. They asked who she is. They found out, are you going to school? When they checked wrong, they felt like they could rape her and get away with it. You understand? Mm-hmm. If she had said, yes, I'm going to school, I'm in this school, they may worry. You know what I'm saying? I think they checked and said, you can. And you notice the way it happened, the way she described it. It sounds like that's something they do all the time.
But that's what they do all the time.
It actually sounded like they knew who was going to be the next person to rape.
Yes, because they said, go and see this person and directly. So this is why I said this Android world is what has changed this revolution. Because these women have been saying every day that they have been raped, and nobody believes them. Nobody believes them until this young lady was courageous enough to tell her story. And this is what they do. And this was in broad daylight.
And the young men who were courageous enough to interview her very, very meticulously and capture that video.
Yes. In a public place.
In a gas station.
Yes. Where people are there doing business. So I'm asking myself, the proprietor of that business, is that what you provide us? And most of these business are owned by Bamileke people. So they can go in there and do all those things. After all, they're doing it to our people.
No, they're protecting them. Have you, like you asked one time, have you ever heard that they kill one of them? They shoot our people. It's like they come and they know who to kill, and the expatriates in our land, nobody touches them. And so in this gas station, maybe that room, you saw that it sounded like they knew exactly where they were taking her. It looked like that room was prepared there to go and do things like that.
And we have not heard Amnesty International or Human Rights Watch or any of these people say anything, as they say it's happening on both sides. They have not said anything.
Amazonia rising. Amazonia rising. Amazonia rising. The traffic has been blocked in London by the Amazonians. Yeah, Theresa May must talk. The Commonwealth must act. We are here today in front of the Commonwealth. They have to hear us. They must take us by force. We are not leaving this road today.
Our people in London, and this is where La Republique, you can cook these things. I think Ambazonians everywhere should continue to do what we're doing. Ambazonians in London yesterday blocked the street. Did you watch that?
Yes.
And what do you think about that?
No, it is good, and I have regretted the fact that we have not seen a lot of that this summer, and summer is almost to the end. We have not seen a lot of that in all of the cities, in New York, in Washington DC, and all of that. So I am glad that our brothers in London, I know South Africa did quite a bit of it with the Nigerian embassy, but those are things you have to always keep this in front of the papers, in front of the international community, and keep it. I mean, there are people. People are picking up on these stories. People are coming in. People are reporting on it. We have to keep up the pressure, because it is that pressure that tells the international community that no, these people mean business.
Yes.
And somebody somewhere is going to get up and say, like Jerry Rawlings, I've had enough of this nonsense, and this nonsense has to stop. So you don't know where your lucky break might come from. So we have to keep doing these things.
Yes, and especially those of our citizens who are in the capitals.
Yes.
And that's why you were mentioning Washington and New York and London, and I don't want to call Paris. The French are pretty. I don't know what happens in that part of the world, but it's never interested me. But I think that in any of the capitals that you are, I think you should continue to put this pressure, because every time you go out on there, look, until we have peace, I don't think anybody else should be having peace. Okay, especially people who have the ability to do something and they refuse to. Because you know what? We were in our country very peacefully. It is the world that came to us and brought this nonsense to us. When we were in Bakweriland, in Mamfe, in Bamenda, in all our lands, we were living there for thousands of years in peace. They came and imposed this on us. La Republique did not defeat us in a war. They came and took us and brought them in. So let us show that what they did to us reduces our humanity, and we find it unacceptable. And until we are satisfied, you know what, they'll keep hearing from us. And I can tell you what, those voices will beat the French anywhere. Because it is only when we are quiet that they begin to play these little nasty games. You know, if the revolts had not happened, you think Munzu would have forgotten about us a long time ago, right?
Yeah.
They will not even go and sit and be planning all these devilish plans at the background. So please continue to do. The two things that I want us to touch on really quick. So as we talking all of this, if you saw episode 37 of Voices, what we did on that episode is just let African voices speak. And you heard how a lot of those voices were saying that African leaders are sitting quiet and these murders are going on. And there was one lady there who came and said, if all these murders were taking place with white populations or with Asian populations, African leaders who will begin to show their sympathy, but they're very silent about our situation. Now, so he's saying African leaders are quiet. The OAU sent one francophone. I have to emphasize his francophoneness. The chairman of the AU, and he came and was speaking in Yaoundé in a colonial language, in the language of the poorest people in the world, in the language of dictatorship. And he was saying things that are not legal. You know, the AU charter says that your boundaries are frozen at independence, right? Mm-hmm. La République had its independence in 1960. We had our independence in 1961. But somehow he did not get that when he was there saying the integrity of La République du Cameroon would remain the same and all that. Did you listen to him?
I listened to him. Well, see, I don't... And that is why what we are doing, it is important. What those people come and sit in Yaoundé and say is irrelevant to what you have decided to do, because nobody can impose to you how you want to live your life, not in this age.
Yes, and if there's nothing that people can impose on you and it will stick on until you accept it. If you do not accept it, it will not stick.
And we have said that there is nothing that we have put our mind on as a people, and we did not get it. So no matter who comes in and says what, if you do not agree, and given that you have decided to defend your communities, the moment you picked up that arm, the ball game has changed.
Yes.
So people can sit where they can sit in Geneva, they can sit in New York and call for dialogue and say whatever they want to say. I mean, you can see in Syria, they shuttle them back and forth to Switzerland to sit down and talk, right? Mm-hmm. Because that is what happens when somebody picks up a gun. So somebody is not going to sit down in Switzerland and say there should be dialogue. No, they will bring you people in to sit down and figure out something, how to move on. So that time is going to come. As we speak, it is not that time yet, and we have to do what we have to do.
And let me also add that it may take 5-10 years for that time to come, but for that we are going to hold our ground until we are a free people, because we need to be a free people, and our freedom can never come in a colonial empire that is run by the French.
Exactly.
Now, this network that you and I work for is having issues with the IG. Have you been following what's going on there?
Yeah, I've been following it.
What do you think about it, Pa?
It is very unfortunate that at this time, I know there are a lot of people that when something has happened to SCBC back at home, my friends, my family, and other people, they will reach out to me and ask what is happening. It is because of the role that SCBC plays for this struggle. Not only is it that it informs the people, but it is a symbol of our resistance. It is a symbol of our independence. It is a sign that we mean what we say, that we are going to part from these people and we are going to do things differently.
It is a sign of our own maturity, a sign of our own technological advances, because SCBC was created by our own people. We manage. Nobody plays with the technology. It is our people. So I'm glad you're mentioning that. Keep going, please.
So unfortunately, like I said before, when people come and say things to you, even if they are people that you trust, even myself speaking to you, if I say certain things to you and they don't sound right, you have to take a step back and ask yourself, is he really speaking what he's supposed to be telling me? There is no problem between the interim government and SCBC. I, for one, I believe any single person that has decided that they are going to stand up to La Republique, whether I agree with them or I don't agree with them, as long as they are fighting against La Republique, not against our people, they have a right to come to the SCBC platform and put out their message to our people. And nobody should be censored. That is exactly what we are running from. And if people think that there are some people who cannot come on the SCBC platform because the IG is paying for it, that is wrong. The money that the IG pays for SCBC with, it is our money. It is the people's money. It is not Chris Arnold's money. It is not Sarko's money. It is not my money. It is the people's money that they have contributed to keep this service and this tool of the liberation alive. So, if the people who currently wield power believe that they want to go and do something different from what SCBC is doing, I say no, that is wrong. We need those resources to keep this flame alive. Those are misuse of resources, and that is misuse of power. Listen to this. That is a misuse of power that the people have given you. Because don't fix something that is not broken. Just because you don't like some other people does not mean that they don't have a message for those on the ground. You don't know what is going to motivate who to do what. So I know that there are people who believe in some of the things that these people come out and say, but some of the actions, I know personally that Issa Chiroma has been looking for the day that SCBC is going to go blackout. He has been wishing for that day. And unfortunately, it is our own people,
our government that is trying to hand it to him,
that is trying to make that happen. And when I say this, I'm going to add on to that we have one common enemy, and that enemy is La Republique. Whether you are sitting on the field or you are in the diaspora, where you should be pointing your finger should be at La Republique. We have done so many things on this revolution that has undermined our progress. So many. This is another one. This is another one that is going to set us back. We have done videos that we were not supposed to do and revealed our locations, and people have been killed. And when those people get killed because of the videos that they have done to kind of show off what they are doing, then they turn around and accuse some of our fighters and kill them. So you make your mistake and they come and hammer you because of the mistake that you made. You turn around and accuse another person and you kill that person. It sets the revolution backwards. So when you go out there and you make a video, you are actually telling the Republic that, hey, this is where I live. This is where I am. You just have to come for me and get me. There is no liberation war that has been fought the way we are fighting. You have your secret, you go out there and you tell them that this is a secret that I have. That is not smart. They have to work hard to be able to figure out how you are operating. I have often talked about the FARC guerrilla war fighters in Colombia. They have fought the Colombian government for decades. And the Colombian government have not been able to defeat them. And they are on the move every single time. And they don't know who these rebels are. You cannot go there and put yourself out and expect that you are not going to be targeted. If you are not targeted, your village will be targeted. Your family will be targeted. Your friends will be targeted. Because they know the community you come from. So all of these decisions, with the decisions that the interim government is currently doing, are things that are going to set us back. We are doing very, very well. And there is no reason for us to be trying to fix something that is not broken. Those resources should reinforce what is happening on ground zero so that we can accelerate the pace at which we have to push these people out because they are on their way out. So you can call the interim government, you can tell them your frustration, and let us keep this SCBC going. Because what do they say when we were growing up? A bird in hand
It's worth
two in the bush.
Well, just like you said, a revolution has never been fought the way the kids are filming themselves and exposing themselves. There's never been a liberation movement that started its fight by creating a government first. So when you create a government, people are positioning themselves because these people think that they are going to go rule in Boya and they don't want anybody challenging that trap. So we made a mistake when we started by creating a government. I know a lot of the people now are saying, no, not the IG, is because they don't know what to replace it with. But we need a national authority. And I want to really be clear on this, that the ANC fought its war as ANC, and all the members who joined to fight that war were heading one direction. Now we've created a government, and then people come and take over power who we don't even know. You know, before Sako and Chris Anu, just to mention those two, became leaders of our revolution. They were doing videos online and running their newspapers. We didn't know them as activists. And so it is how we've organized ourselves that our revolution fall in what I would call the wrong hands right now. And so we are in a fight. We need to restructure ourselves in order to win this fight. If we do not, then we'll have people who are positioning themselves and not fighting, and so they will end up not being in Boya, and will end up not being in Boya, or will pay too much. So that's what I'm going to say about that.
Well, this is what I know, and we have said this on this show so many times. We want to thank you people for the work that you are doing on Ground Zero.
Before you thank people, Pa, I want you to talk of Jerry Rawlings. I think you heard his piece of video. Mm-hmm. Do you have anything to add? Because that is one voice because when we talk of African leaders who are not saying something, if one comes out and speak very clearly like Rawlings speak, I think we should highlight it.
No, I think I didn't mention him.
Yes, you did.
And I said that we need to keep doing things like that because people like him are going to come home and you don't know who is going to pick up your story.
Yes.
So he did a marvelous job. And he is one of those people that has those values. The human value, human dignity. And you are not surprised that he is not from Francophone Africa.
No, he's not from Francophone Africa. You need to say that loud.
So
And that compares with this Muhammad, whatever he calls his name, who came from Chad in the name of African Union. You know, when he was saying that, I kept looking, I say, you know, the African Union was really created by the same Ghana.
It was created by Ghana.
Because a Francophone will never create an African Union. And so he comes and takes it and he looks at it the same as a fascist state and comes and stands. And African Union has just useless itself when they do that. Until, to be honest, I'm going to say this, until all the Anglophone countries in Africa separate themselves from the Francophone countries who are still French colonies and form their own union that would promote Africa, Francophone countries will keep you dancing in circles.
So I was going to say that this revolution will be fought and won by you on the ground. It doesn't matter what I sit down here and say, or whoever sits in the diaspora and say. You have left school, you have left your families, your family have left their homes, and they are sitting in bushes. You are sitting in the bush, you don't get food, you don't do anything, you get shot at every single day. That is the sacrifice that you have made to free your land and to free all of us. And for that we say thank you. We are grateful. Do not look at what the people who sit in the diaspora, and when I talk about the diaspora, I'm talking about the United States of America.
In particular.
I have said it on this show that the United States of America has not lived up to its potential in this struggle. I said it very early on in this struggle.
Yes.
And I said they were almost dropping the baton.
Yes.
And they keep doing that. So the fighting that you people sit back at home and you see people go back and forth, this SCBC things that we are saying is a distraction. You need to stay focused. You need to stay focused. Why? Because these people who are creating this confusion and singing this governance thing, you cannot be governing when you have not won the revolution.
Absolutely. That
is putting the cart before the horse.
Absolutely.
We have to win the revolution before we start the business of governing.
Absolutely.
So they have an option. You don't have an option. And as you don't have an option, do not let them determine your destiny. I'll let that continue.
Absolutely. I want to just add that SCBC would survive. SCBC is not going to die. But I think you should listen to what Roger just said. We cannot be practicing governance when we haven't secured our land and secured a place for our people. So this is not the time for governance. This is the time for a struggle, for a fight. Let's all fight. If the formula that we have now is not working for us, let's be courageous enough to come back and say, what do we do to program, to set a structure that actually leads us to our liberation the fastest. Because as we keep delaying it, La République is taking our fighters reducing our population and wasting our resources. We need to do this fast, and we can. And we are depending on the ground to do it. Without the ground, I think this revolution would have ended.